Okay, so you can't see the entire board, but I'll explain everything to you. I'm only recreating this game that I played last night because of how insane my last move was. I don't think I've ever done anything as crazy as this. It made everyone else at the LGS go quiet for a minute just so I could think. Um, but yeah, anyways, I'm playing Luna. It's my Ghidorah copy of it. It's my teamer deck where I cheat out spells to get bigger creatures and cast bigger instants and sorceries. I had gone off a couple of times throughout the game. I was comboing with both her and Jad the Oracle of Arcavios to just cheat out spells, and the fact that I have 14 or 15 mana on the board had me set. I had a couple of mana rocks, um, but ultimately I went off early, knocked the guy across from me down to 14 in one combat. That's Brant. He's playing Mariki and Rebereat, which is basically just stealing everything, which becomes an issue for me. To my left is Jeffrey. He's playing Sidri, which is Esper again, but artifacts. And then on the corner is Howard, and he is playing Vorl of the Whole but a mill type effect. And that's the reason I'm in this position. So this is this is me ending my second to last turn. In my hand, I have a Plea for Power, a Krosan Grip, a Quandrix Command, the Locust God. I'm all tapped out for mana. At the moment, I do have control of Ghidorah, and it's on top of a Gem Razor. I have a Primal Empathy and Yeva Nature's Herald. The issue is, I have a card on me that was cursed on me. It's Fraying Sanity. Basically, at the end of my turn, for every card that went into my graveyard, I milled that many cards, and that had been on me for the last 5 or so turns. So this is my graveyard at this moment, my entire deck. I have no cards to draw in my library. I'm going to die on turn. So basically, sorry, I threw the one card I need. Basically, I'm like, well, I'm screwed. There's nothing I can do, which is a shame because I maintained a really high health. I was still at 32. It really sucked. It was a good game overall. I was going to lose to Mill, but instead of conceding, I just said, screw it, I'll wait till we get around because I do have to wait for the other two to die, which were close. I passed to Jeffrey, does his turn, yada, yada, yada. Howard does his turn. Nothing crazy. They're trying to take out Brant, who has control of multiple creatures that he's stolen with both Mariki. There's one blue Illicid that I've never seen before, and I forget the name of it, and it like can flip flop into a creature and then an enchantment that curses a creature. And then he has a Beguiler of Wills, and he's basically just been stealing everything, and then he has artifacts untapped. Gets to Brant's turn. Brant immediately uses the Illicit to take control of my commander. I say, okay, yada yada yada, whatever. And then he uses the Beguiler of Will to get Yeva. I have no creatures, I have no blockers. He could swing out at me, but he knows I'm gonna get milled. Well, he knows I'm gonna die on upkeep. So he doesn't attack me. Instead, swings out both ways at Howard and Jeffrey, killing them, and then passes to me. Now, I get to my upkeep. I have no creatures, but I can untap, and then before I hit my draw step, I tap a blue, green. Actually, everything taps for green because I have Yavimaya, and I play a Quandrix command as a joke, thinking, ha ha ha, this is my one thing I'll do. And then I remember that Quandrix commands last choice of an ability, target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into their library. So I think, okay, hang on, I'm still alive technically, I'm back in business. Remember, Brant's at 14 health, he has most of the board state, but I'm still at 32. So I go digging through my entire graveyard, which is essentially my entire deck. I I split in half. I probably take like 5 to 10 minutes going through this because I need 3 specific cards. I need to do this completely correct, and I've already pulled them out because that way it would be easier. But I had to be about 10 minutes that I took because I was like, I only get one shot at this, or Brant's just gonna kill me outright. So I pull out. Actually, I won't tell you what I pull out, but I know the order that they came in, because I have one card. I have one card that'll basically save me, but I need to make sure that I draw because I shuffle them into my library. So let me put them in the order that I get. Okay. So now I have a library. I go to my draw step. Quandrix command goes into the graveyard. I go to my draw step. Primal Empathy doesn't do anything. I draw. It's an Abundant Harvest. I play it for 1. I choose non-land. That way I can just draw the next card, knowing it's not a land. Oh, it's an Electrolyze. I play it for fun, pinging it to Brant's face, putting him down to 12, and then guess what? I get to draw a card. I draw my last card. It's a Primal Command. I play 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I play Primal Command. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library. So now my entire graveyard, which is my library, is suddenly back. I shuffle the entire thing back. And Brant is like, oh, oh. He said a couple of things that weren't PG after he realized he just let me right back into the game. He completely thought that I was gonna die and he would win the game for me not being able to draw a card. So he left me completely alone, didn't bother to attack. I then 1, 2, 3. Krosan Grip, the enchantment that is on my commander that stole it. So I get Ghidorah back, and I then swing with it for flying to hit him for 6. Ultimately, I had no commander damage on him to begin with, so it is 6. Putting him down to 6, and that's it. I survived. I passed my turn. He opens the armory, and his graveyard was also pretty full from being milled, and he just swarms the board with artifacts and enchantments, and I concede. Because it would have been a standstill. He would have had the enchantment back to kill me, but ultimately, I just pulled the craziest survival trick out of my butt from having been milled to 0 cards in my library, and I felt heavily that I needed to share it because I don't think I've ever done anything that crazy, especially with the string of events leading up to him completely forgetting about me, not thinking about me, just knowing that I was going to die. And then I was like, haha, just for fun, I'll play this instant. And I'm like, oh wait, I can actually do something with it. And I went from all this being in my graveyard to all this being my library. The only thing that would have been cooler is if I was able to win, but it was he just had me. So but yeah, that was it. I just felt the need to share that. Thank you.